Evil Under the Sun, 1982, is a British mystery flick you won't want to miss, especially if you're a fan of Agatha Christie's nail-biting stories. Based on her novel from 1941, this movie is directed by Guy Hamilton and stars the fantastic Peter Ustinov playing the brainy Belgian detective Hercule Poirot. It's the follow-up to Death on the Nile, 1978, and The Mirror Cracked, 1980, continuing the trend of turning Christie's novels into big-screen hits with an ensemble cast. So what's the scoop? Poirot's just trying to enjoy some downtime at this swanky island resort when, bam, drama hits. The glamorous but not-so-loved actress Arlena Stewart, played by Diana Rigg, ends up murdered. With wealthy and quirky guests who all have their own grudges and secrets, Poirot gets down to business. Piece by piece, he unravels alibis, motives, and a crime that's as crafty as they come. Who's who in the movie? Here's a peek. Peter Ustinov as Hercule Poirot, Diana Rigg as Arlena Stewart, James Mason as Odell Gardner. The movie dazzles with its stunning scenery shot in Majorca, standing in for the movie's fictional seaside resort. Add in some lavish costumes and a vibrant 1930s vibe, and you've got a film that's easy on the eyes. And the sound? It's got Cole Porter tunes woven in, giving it that jazzy and sophisticated edge. Now, not everyone was vibing with the pace of Evil Under the Sun, but it sure got plenty of love for its visuals, star-studded cast, and Ustinov's spot-on take as Poirot. It's definitely a favourite for those who dig classic murder mysteries. The film hit theatres on March 5th, 1982, but it didn't quite make waves at the box office, pulling in just over $6 million against its $10 million budget. But forget the box office blues, because critics still gave it a thumbs up with a 92% score. Fans on IMDb give it a solid 7 out of 10. Want to check it out for yourself? Evil Under the Sun is up for streaming on most rental services, including Google Play. Get your mystery fix and see if you can crack the case before Poirot does. Dancing as Fast as I Can is a 1982 American drama flick directed by Jack Hovsis, starring Jill Clayburgh taking center stage. This movie springs from the memoir by Barbara Gordon, a journalist and documentary filmmaker who faced tough battles with addiction and mental health struggles. What's it about? Jumping into the storyline, we have Barbara Gordon, Jill Clayburgh, who's making waves as a television documentary producer. Things take a tough turn when she falls into the spiral of Valium addiction. After her doc suggests she drops the drug cold turkey, Barbara is hit with brutal withdrawal symptoms, spiraling her into a mental and emotional mess. In the thick of it all, she's also got to fend off her abusive and controlling boyfriend, Derek Bauer, Nicol Williamson. With wild hurdles both inside her mind and in her life, she's on a mission to reclaim her life and career. Themes. The movie dives deep into the messy world of addiction, mental health, emotional abuse, and the rocky road to recovery. It throws light on the perils of getting hooked on prescription meds and the stigma surrounding mental health issues, especially for women juggling high-pressure gigs. Who's who? Here's a quick peek at the cast. Jill Clayburgh as Barbara Gordon, Nicol Williamson as Derek Bauer, Diane Weist as Julie Addison. And let's not forget the awesome lineup with Joe Pesci, Daniel Stern, and Geraldine Page. What did folks think? When the film hit screens on March 5th, 1982, it stirred up mixed feelings. Jill Clayburgh's acting got a thumbs up, but the screenplay and pacing got some side-eye from critics. While it tackled big issues, some folks thought it didn't quite nail the depth of Barbara Gordon's real-life battles. Fast forward to today, and critics aren't exactly singing its praises. Dancing. As Fast as I Can sits at a 33% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. Fans over on IMDb are a tad kinder, giving it a 6 out of 10. Where to watch? If you're curious and want to check it out for yourself, Dancing as Fast as I Can is up for grabs on streaming rental services. You can find it on Amazon Prime or Google Play. Hey there, sci-fi and horror fans. Ever heard of Parasite from 1982? It's a low-budget sci-fi horror flick directed by Charles Band that's got that gritty, dystopian vibe going on. Picture this. A scientist named Paul Dean, played by Robert Glaudini, is on the run from a shady government agency. Why? He's accidentally let loose a nasty parasite that starts wreaking havoc, infecting and offing people left and right. Now, here's a fun tidbit. Demi Moore, in one of her very first roles, is in on the action too. She plays Patricia Wells, a spunky young woman who teams up with our scientist hero to tackle both the bloodthirsty parasite and the not-so-good guys in charge. Oh, and don't forget about the super creepy creature effects. They were the talk of the town back when the movie came out in 3D, aimed right at those early 80s 3D movie lovers. Joining Demi is Cherie Currie, the former lead singer of The Runaways. She took on her second film role after appearing in 1980's Little Foxes. Sure, Parasite might be a bit campy, and it didn't light up the box office. It made just $2,000 against an $800,000 budget. But it's got its fan base. If you're into 80s B-movies and love some old-school practical horror effects, this is one to check out. It's even been called a cult classic over the years. A little side note, on a 2019 episode of The Late Late Show with James Corden, Demi Moore playfully dubbed Parasite as the worst movie she's ever been in. But hey, even bad movies can have their charm, right? Critics today may not be its biggest fans, giving it a 13% on Rotten Tomatoes, and IMDb users rate it a 4 out of 10. But why not judge for yourself? You can catch Parasite on the Plex app. Happy watching! Hey there, movie buffs! Let's talk about Deathtrap, a 1982 mystery thriller directed by Sidney Lumet. This flick takes you on a wild ride filled with deception, murder, and a good dose of dark humour. Based on Ira Levin's hit Broadway play, it stars Michael Caine, Christopher Reeve, and Diane Cannon, who all bring their A-game to this twisty tale. Plot summary: meet Sidney Bruhl, played by Michael Caine. He's a once great Broadway playwright who's hit a rough patch with a few flops under his belt. But when he gets his hands on a brilliant script from an old student, Clifford Anderson, a very different Christopher Reeve than you're used to as Superman, things get a little intense. Sidney jokes to his wife, Myra, Diane Cannon, about knocking Clifford off to steal the play. But when Clifford shows up at their secluded home, the lines between joke and sinister intent start to blur. What's real and what's just a game? What unravels is a high-stakes dance of manipulation, betrayal, and surprises that'll keep you guessing who's playing whom. Notable aspects. This film is packed with an intricate plot, blending dark humour and a theatrical flair that stays true to its stage roots. It's also got one of Christopher Reeve's most unexpected roles, far from the Superman cape, showing off a seriously chilling side. Directed by Sidney Lumet, known for gems like 12 Angry Men and Dog Day Afternoon, Deathtrap masterfully holds a suspenseful vibe throughout. And yep, it made waves back in the day for a bold same-sex kiss between Caine and Reeve, a gutsy move for mainstream cinema in the 80s. Reception critics loved the clever storytelling, top-notch performances, and those jaw-dropping twists. It's a perfect mix of suspense and dark comedy, keeping you hooked till the credits roll. While it might not have hit the big leagues like some of Lumet's other stuff, Deathtrap has carved its niche as a cult classic for thriller aficionados. Released on March 19, 1982, the film was a box office hit, raking in $19 million against a $10 million budget. Still making waves today, Deathtrap boasts a 74% critics score and holds a solid 7 out of 10 from fans on IMDb. Ready to dive into this classic thriller? You can stream Deathtrap for free on the Tubi app. Grab some popcorn and enjoy the ride. Victor Victoria, 1982, is a musical comedy film directed by Blake Edwards and starring the incredible Julie Andrews, alongside James Garner, Robert Preston, Leslie Ann Warren, and Alex Karras. It's a fresh take on the 1933 German film Victor und Victoria, effortlessly mixing comedy, romance, and some sharp social commentary. Here's the lowdown. We're whisked away to 1930s Paris, where Victoria Grant, played by the iconic Julie Andrews, is a soprano singer who's struggling to make ends meet. Helping her out is Toddy, the fabulous Robert Preston, a cabaret performer who's also between gigs. Together, they cook up the idea of Victoria transforming into Count Victor Grzinski, a man who impersonates women. As Victor, she dazzles the Paris nightclub scene, becoming the new talk of the town. But things get a little sticky when a Chicago gangster, King Marchand, James Garner, catches one of Victor's performances and falls head over heels, even though he believes Victor is a guy. Throw in King's no-nonsense girlfriend Norma, played by the hilarious Leslie Ann Warren, and his bodyguard Squash, Alex Karras, and you've got a recipe for comedic chaos. The movie dives into themes of gender identity, deception, and societal norms, all delivered with humour and heart. Why it's still a big deal? Victor Victoria cleverly messes with ideas about gender roles and sexual identity way before it was the norm. Julie Andrews shines, and Robert Preston brings warmth and lots of laughs as Toddy. And let's not forget, the film snagged the Oscar for Best Original Score, courtesy of Henry Mancini and Leslie Bricusse. It was up for 7 Oscars, including nods for Best Actress for Andrews and Best Supporting Actor for Preston. Leslie Ann Warren was also nominated for her side-splitting role as Norma. It was such a hit that it later inspired a Broadway show in the 90s, with Andrews reprising her role. Victor Victoria, released on March 19, 1982, became a box office smash, raking in over 28 million. Critics and fans can't get enough, with a 92% critic score on Rotten Tomatoes and a solid 7.6 out of 10 from fans on IMDb. If you're in the mood for some classic laughs and sharp storytelling, you can stream Victor Victoria on Google Play. Don't miss out on this gem of a film. Hey there, movie buffs! Let's dive into the world of Eating Raoul, a dark comedy gem from 1982. This quirky flick is directed by and stars Paul Bartel, alongside Mary Warrenoff and Robert Beltran. It's a wild mix of absurd humour and social commentary that pokes fun at sex, money and murder. Plot summary: meet Paul and Mary Bland, a couple living in Los Angeles who are the definition of prudish and penny pinching. They're dreaming big, hoping to ditch their boring lives and open a restaurant. But there's one teeny tiny problem: they're broke. Things take a hilariously dark twist when they accidentally kill a swinger who tries to assault Mary during a crazy party in their apartment building. Instead of calling it quits, they hatch a plan to make some cash by baiting and offing perverted swingers. Enter Raoul, a charming yet sleazy locksmith played by Robert Beltran, who offers to help them get rid of the bodies for a share of the loot. But of course, Raoul's got his own sneaky plans, leading to wild double crosses and a surprising comedic ending. Themes and style. This movie's all about giving a cheeky wink at American sexual norms, materialism, and the holier-than-thou types. It's a riot of black comedy, campiness, and sharp social critique. It hilariously mocks both the hedonistic swinging scene and the uptight, judgmental Blands. Here's a fun fact. Edie McClurg, who pops up in a lot of John Waters films, has a cameo as a swinger at one of those zany parties. You might recognise her from Ferris Bueller's Day Off and Planes, Trains and Automobiles. She steals the show as a partygoer who gets hilariously drunk and overly excited, adding to the movie's offbeat charm. And here's another tidbit. Bartel and Warrenoff were so committed to the movie that they actually mortgaged their homes to help finance it. Talk about betting on yourself. Thankfully, it paid off big time as Eating Raoul became a cult favourite. Legacy and impact. Eating Raoul hit the screens on March 24th, 1982, and quickly gained a cult following with its deadpan humour and quirky performances. It's a testament to Bartel and Woronov's unique chemistry, as they had worked together on several films prior. With a sweet 82% critics score on Rotten Tomatoes and a solid 6.810 from fans on IMDb. It's a must-watch for lovers of offbeat indie films. Catch Eating Raoul streaming now on Max and join the ranks of its cult fanbase. I Ought to Be in Pictures is a 1982 American comedy-drama movie directed by Herbert Ross, based on Neil Simon's 1979 stage play. It's got a stellar cast with Walter Matthau, Anne-Margaret and Dinah Manoff leading the way. Plot summary: meet Libby Tucker, played by Dinah Manoff. She's a spirited young lady from Brooklyn who takes a bold leap to Hollywood. Her mission? Reconnect with her long-lost dad, Herbert Tucker, the struggling screenwriter played by Walter Matthau. Years ago, Herbert left Libby and her mum behind, but now Libby thinks he can help her make a splash in Tinseltown. Their reunion isn't all sunshine and rainbows. It's filled with tension, unresolved feelings, and of course some laughs as they try to patch things up. Anne-Margaret steps in as Steffi Blondell, Herbert's patient and supportive girlfriend, who plays a big part in helping mend the father-daughter relationship. Reception critics had mixed thoughts on this one. The performances, especially from Matthau and Manoff, were a hit. But many pointed out that the story, while full of heart, didn't quite pop like Simon's original play. Manoff, who was Libby on Broadway too, really nailed it with her authentic performance. Notable aspects: Walter Matthau takes a break from his usual comedic roles to add depth to Herbert, who's flawed yet likeable. Dinah Manoff, familiar with Libby from Broadway, brings realness to the screen. Neil Simon's script shines with clever dialogue and emotional moments, just like you'd expect. The movie delves into family, forgiveness, and giving life another shot. While I Ought to Be in Pictures might not be as famous as some of Neil Simon's other works, it's still a sweet and touching tale about reconciliation and personal growth. The film hit theatres on March 26, 1982, but it didn't quite make waves at the box office, pulling in just $7 million against a $10 million budget. Nowadays, the movie is still appreciated by critics, scoring an 80% with them. On IMDb, fans give it a decent 6 out of 10. Want to watch I Ought to Be in Pictures? You'll need to hunt down a physical copy because, sadly, it's not available on any streaming service right now.